Jamie and I were youth pastors here in the early 1990s and have really fond memories of being here. But in the midst of a work that we really loved and cherished and felt honored and privileged to be a part of, and we loved it here. God called us elsewhere to a place of need where the gospel had not yet gone forth. So we've been there for about 30 years now, and it's great to be back and reconnect with you. It's been about 6 years since we've been back. COVID threw us for a little bit of a loop and getting back to our supporting churches, so we apologize for that. I'm going to open now with a word of prayer. Father God, I just ask that you would fill us with your truth and with your grace, Lord, that Lord, we all come as empty, broken vessels before you and before your throne. And Lord, we thank you. We thank you for the grace that you've poured onto us. Lord, as we look at this passage of the woman at the well and we see you pursuing somebody who desperately needed you and probably didn't even know it, Lord, I just ask that you would lead us and guide us in your truth, in your way, in the life, the abundant life that you have for us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. So yesterday, my wife and I were coming back from Canada, visiting some former colleagues and friends who are up there in church planning in Langley, BC. And on the way back, we were going down the highway, and I was just changing lanes. And all of a sudden, I hear the rumble strip. You guys know what a rumble strip is? Okay, normally, the rumble strips are on the side of the road. So if you're not familiar with a rumble strip, it's the things that looks like somebody took a caterpillar and drove along the side of the road, punching little holes and ridges into the line on the side of the road, so that when you veer off, it wakes you up and gets you back on track. Okay, so I hit a rumble strip in the middle of just changing lanes. So apparently there had been problems there before with people changing lanes. So they wanted people to know, watch what you're doing when you're changing lanes here, right? So rumble strips. Rumble strips are there to wake us up, to keep us focused, to keep our attention where it needs to be when we get distracted. And quite honestly, that happens a lot, doesn't it? I mean, way back from the airport, coming up from SeaTac, the Blue Angels are flying. This was last Friday, I guess it was. Blue Angels are flying. Oh, it's easy. Wow, right? Then all of a sudden, somebody honks next to you, right? Okay, so rumble strips. They're there, honks. They're there to get you refocused. I mean, maybe it's something outside that's distracting you. You're maybe inside your phone. Maybe one of the kids is doing something. You get distracted. Your hand goes slightly off, and all of a sudden, boom, okay, I got to refocus my attention on what actually is really, really important right now. So, rumble strips. Today, as we were as I was talking with the worship team, and they were saying, how do we want to set things up? And if you need to move something, go ahead and move it. I said, it's not going to disturb anybody if I move something and it's not in its right place. And they said, no, go ahead and get us, disoriented, distracted. That's great. So that's what I'm actually going to be doing today. Is we're going to be doing some rumble strips. Okay, you guys are going to get disoriented, distracted. I'm gonna hit you guys a little bit. Okay, you're going to hear some vibrations. So. I don't apologize for that. The vibrations are here because I think we need to hear them. There's a lot of different ways that we get distracted. There might be something that's going on internally in our lives. There might be just something going on in our bodies. There might be something that's going on around us that focuses our attention elsewhere. And in this passage, we see actually Jesus is dealing with a woman who needs to hit some rumble strips, and actually even more than that, to have some explosions happen in her life to wake her up to what's going on and refocus her attention. So we work in West Africa. We live in a fairly decent house at this point. We originally lived in a really small house. At this point, we're living in a mud brick house. It's got concrete stucco on the walls to cover up the mud brick, but we actually have a tile floor. And my wife is an amazing cook, and I don't know how she does this, but like every meal is like a great meal and there's always enough, and this is in a place where there's often not always enough, and so how she pulls that off every single day, I don't really understand, but she does. And so often after dinner, I'll be, just boom, wow, this is great, and I'm stuffing myself. Anybody ever have this? Like after Thanksgiving maybe? Oh, food coma kind of sets in, right? And where we live, well, my kids are kind of embarrassed about this, but I'm going to share it anyway. So after dinner, a lot of times, I'm just like, all the oxygen has gone from my blood has gone to like process all this excess food, and my brain is starting to shut down. And so I'll just go walk into the living room right next door, in the same room basically, just scoot over a little bit, find a clear spot on the floor, and cash out on the floor. Boom, just out of it, right? Food coma. There's another time when I was in bed for several days. Some disease had gotten a hold of me, some infection, and my body was just fighting, and I was just out of it. You ever been there where you're kind of in and out of reality? Oh, okay, where am I? What's going on? And you're back out of reality again, and then pop back in. And I'm in one of those situations, and all of a sudden I hear one of the kids yell, "Snake!" Okay, so we were at a reptile place in Monroe, like, I don't know, a decade and a half ago. And at this reptile place, they had the 10 most deadliest snakes in the world, and 8 of them are from where we're from. So where we live, we have a snake protocol. It's all out war. Like, it's either them or us. So this is our choice. And Jamie has this great line, which basically is, the Bible tells us to choose life. Snakes, if you want to choose life, stay out there. If you want to choose death, go ahead and come on in, because that's what's going to happen. So anyway, we have a snake protocol. The protocol is whoever sees the snake steps a safe distance away but keeps an eye on it, yells "snake." Whoever else hears it says, "Okay, we're coming," and gets everybody else together. And then we get any weapons that we can find, including a snake killer, specially designed by one of our colleagues, which is it's like a hoe, except the front end of it's straight out flat. So you can take it and, boom, very nice long handle, pin that snake and demolish it, okay? So the kids yell "snake," and I had been literally out of it for like a day and a half. And all of a sudden, boom, I'm up, boom, out the door. Okay, where's the snake killer? It's dark. Get me the lantern. So we have these solar lanterns. I grab the lantern, run outside. Where's it at? It's going around the back of the house. It's by the solar panel in the back corner. So I go running over there and out the back door, and sure enough, I see it coming around. I set the lantern down. Here it comes, and boom, I get it. It's a zebra cobra. Never knew that these things existed. Zebra cobra. Okay, so there it is. And I get it, and I'm pinning it down, and I'm about halfway through its body. It's maybe about this long. Halfway through its body, and as I pin it down, the head comes up towards me and goes, thankfully it's not a spitting cobra, right? We have those too. And right then the battery on the solar lantern goes out. And I'm screaming, "Get me a flashlight!" Terrified, absolutely terrified. I was woken up out of my slumber and became highly functional in a very short period of time, right? Okay, in this passage, we see a woman who is going through her life, just going through the routines, the normal paces and processes of her life. And she all of a sudden gets hit by some rumble strips. Now, we don't actually see that very much in the passages. We're reading it from Western eyes, but coming from a West African mindset and understanding a lot of the dynamics that are going on here, very close to Middle Eastern, it's like, okay, like she's getting bam, 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 just hit time after time with a rumble strip. The first thing that I want to note is this. The name of the town that's given in this passage that she's coming from is Sychar. most commentary folks, they believe that Sychar actually is not the actual name of the village, but a derogatory name for the village. It's a name that the Jews who didn't like the Samaritans gave to the village to sort of diss it. Okay? They're like, Sychar either means falsehood or intoxication, drunkenness. Either way, they're like confused about life right now. Okay? So this woman is coming from a place of confusion. She's not in reality as fully as she should be. When I think about this whole thing with rumble strips and you need something to shock you out of it, I think of Princess Bride. Now, this might date me, okay? But Princess Bride, there's this scene where Fezzik, who's played by Andre the Giant, is going through the forbidden forest as the brute force, and he runs across this his companion and colleague Inigo Montoya, who is just inebriated out of his mind, but still able to defend himself somehow. Anyway, he goes there and he has to wake Inigo up, and one of his processes is taking Inigo and boom, dumping his head in one big barrel of water, boom, dumping his head in another barrel, boom, dumping. So this is what's going on here. The woman is getting shocked into a completely new reality. The first thing is, she's going out, it's a little bizarre, she's going at noon, living in a hot climate. We understand that you don't go out at noon to go draw water. Now, I don't know what's all going on there, but she's going out at noon. She's probably shocked to find that there's somebody sitting there waiting. And I can just imagine, okay, there's a whole bunch in this story we don't actually know. Okay, so this what I'm saying is my own imagination here. Don't take it as a gospel. You can read it for yourself, come to your own conclusions. But I imagine she was probably right off the bat going, what's he doing there? I mean, at noon, you're looking for shelter to get out of the sun, and there's somebody sitting there. So she walks there. And if their culture is similar to the culture that we're in, they have a social hierarchy. And so this is a man, and I'm a woman. So you're not going to be giving eye contact to this guy. She's probably walking up to that well, completely ignoring him. Like, okay, he's just not there. So she's going up there. She's going to do her thing, and all of a sudden, he speaks to her. Give me a drink. Now, for us, we're just like, well, I mean, yeah, give me a drink. I'm thirsty, right? But her reaction, the reaction of the disciples is like, what in the world are you doing talking to me? A Jewish rabbi talking to me, a Samaritan woman. Are you out of your mind? What are you doing? Rumble number 2. Boom. What's going on here? And I can imagine her kind of playing this in her mind like, this guy is really desperate. He's like really, really thirsty. Or maybe, I mean, she's had kind of an interesting life already, right? Maybe she's thinking, oh, is this some sort of a pickup line? Like, what kind of desperate is this guy? So there she is, and she gets shaken out of her little comfortable, normal life, and all of a sudden there's something going on. Who is this guy? Then Jesus starts talking really crazy. She's probably thinking, wow, this guy, maybe he's been in the sun too long. If you had known who it was that asked you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. And she's like, you have nothing. You're this guy who's sitting here dehydrated, thirsty, and you don't have nothing to drink, to draw water with. If you did, you would have drawn it already. Are you kidding? What's this living water stuff? And as the conversation continues, she's just getting more and more like, yeah, whatever. And my personal opinion is that as she says finally, sure, man, give me some of this living water so I don't have to keep coming back here. I think she's just, messing with him. I think it's sarcastic. Sure, yeah, I'd like to see this. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? Okay, so she's just been shock. She's kind of figuring out what's going on here. And I hesitate to use this this analogy because we live in a climate that is so politicized, and people are trying to put everybody in boxes and all this stuff. But I'm going to say what happened here, because this is something that's in people's minds right now, is Jesus goes from the rumble strips to the bunker busters. Okay? So she says, get me this water. And his response is, go call your husband. And now for us, we're like, that's really weird. Like, where did that come from? So this is our rumble strip. But for her, that was a rumble strip of a different kind, because finally this guy is getting normal. Because he shouldn't be talking to her right from the start. He should only be talking to her husband. There's villages where I visit where the protocol, very conservative situation, and we'll talk more about that later at the end of the service. But very conservative situation where if you go to a hut and you find the man not there, myself as a man, I don't talk to the wife. If I'm going to leave a message for the man, I don't tell it to the wife. I talk to the stool that's outside, or the doorpost, or the door, or whatever I see, and I give a message in her hearing to that thing. Okay? So finally she's like, okay. Now she's shocked because he's finally doing what he's supposed to be doing and saying, where is your husband? But then it comes to the situation where she's like, oh, crud. Now I'm backed in a corner. Bunker buster number one, right? This is a woman who's had a pretty difficult, disappointing life, and she's got a lot of shame, maybe some guilt. She's got religious barriers to Jesus, as we see later in the passage. She's got racial barriers to Jesus, as we see right here in this passage. She's got a shame history as a barrier, and she's got calluses over all that stuff. And Jesus comes in with those calluses, and he starts with that bunker buster number one, and boom. Somehow, in a very gentle, non-confrontational way, exposes her emptiness to herself. Not to the world, to herself. And all of a sudden, she starts floundering like, oh yeah, I've come here not only with an empty jar, but with an empty life. Okay, now that that's out, she's trying to figure out where she's going to go with this. There's a bunch of different ideas from commentators, again, on what happens in this next. Is she deflecting, starting talking about, where's the Messiah and where are we supposed to worship? Is it here or in Jerusalem? I was working on my master's in Chicago. The pastor of the church that we went to there, his belief, and I think he's probably right here, is that the woman is actually saying, okay, my life is messed up. So where can I go to get this fixed? And she's asking, where's the best clinic where I can get this messed up life of mine fixed up? Okay, it's empty, but where can I go and make the sacrifices? We don't know. We don't know, actually. Most people are probably going to say this woman was a prostitute, she was loose, she was unfaithful. We actually don't know. Coming from our context, it's probably more likely that she was barren, that she could have no kids, and so one husband after another dumped her until finally she couldn't get another husband. And her idea of the good life, of a good husband and a full family, evaded her time after time after time after time. Her little wonderful world of Disney, in their version of it, she never got to be the princess. It never worked out. And here she is before this Jesus, and she's asking, how can I get rid of whatever this curse is that's plaguing my life and destroying my life? How can I get rid of that? Where is the place that I can get that fixed? And then she turns and talks about the Messiah, one of the Samaritans' hope. And it's at that point that Jesus just blows it out of the water, right? Bunker buster number two. Going in for the deep reveal, right? Here we go. The one who's speaking to you. I am. Then our translation says, I am he. What he says is, I am. Later on in the Gospel of John, when they're coming to arrest Jesus, you know what happens right there? Jesus says, who are you looking for? Jesus of Nazareth. And he responds, I am. And what happens? They fall backwards and fall on the ground because they realize what Jesus is saying right there. And what he's saying to this woman is, I am not only the Messiah, the one that you're talking about, I am God come in the flesh in your presence. And so here you are talking about pursuing me. How can I get right with God? How can I have blessing instead of curses? You're wondering how that's going to happen, and guess what? Before you even started down that path, I was waiting here for you. I'm pursuing you. And I can just imagine, it's kind of like Peter in the boat, right? All of a sudden, Peter realizes who he's dealing with, and we're singing these songs, holy, holy, holy. Do you realize who we're dealing with? And all of a sudden, he steps back and get away from me, for I am an unworthy man. And I think this woman's doing exactly the same thing. She leaves her jar there. And she's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What is going on here? She gets blown right out of the water. The beautiful thing about this is Jesus starts this whole thing with him showing his need, his weakness. We see his weariness. And he doesn't start out saying, hey, you sinful woman, or hey, you unhusbanded woman. Right? He starts out with, hey, can you give me a drink? And then he gently exposes her need. She's coming in a position of need. She realizes her need, and in that need, she comes to realize who she is and who he is. I was once on a trek. We'll talk more again about this at the end of the service. Unfortunately, for security reasons, we have to not live stream everything that I share. And so we'll be sharing a little bit more at the end here when we cut the live stream. But I was out on a trek. We walked from village to village. And on this trek, we're very far out. And my colleague and I, we come down off this mountain area. And we're going down to this sort of savanna plain that just goes on for a long way. And once we get down there into that area, the wells and the water, the dirt is really, really fine, and the wells are silty, and our water filtration systems are starting to clog up, and we're having a hard time keeping up on water, and we're getting dehydrated. And finally, we leave that place, and we're going up into another hilly place, and there's a nice clear creek that's there, and so we go there, and we start pumping water, trying to fill up all of our bottles and getting refilled up and rehydrated, and all of a sudden, my little cat-o'-nine filter starts working way too easy. And the pressure of it just shattered it. And all of our other backup systems weren't working, had also clogged, and so my colleague he's getting dehydrated, and any of my other backups would make him gag, and so it's getting worse and worse. So we're spending the night in this village. You get up to the first village right on the hillside there, and we spend the night, and I just said to the leader guy, I said, I know this town not far away, they've got a well, we need to get there before it. They have a pump that's closed well. We need to get it there before it gets light tomorrow. So we're going to leave middle of the night if that's okay. And so we get up in the middle of the night, and we're walking in the dark in the bush in Africa, right? Down this path I'd never been down before, but I knew where that village was, and I knew roughly how to get there. And so we went and we made it there. But I will tell you, when you are in that kind of a crisis, when you are that thirsty, you have one single purpose in mind, and that's what's driving you the whole time. One purpose. This is what you're headed for, and this is what you're doing, and everything else doesn't really matter. My question My question for us is, in North America, are we ever really hungry or thirsty anymore? Like, there's some older people maybe here who might remember hunger and thirst. Starvation in Holland at the end of World War II. My mom grew up, not a great situation, didn't always have food. She has dementia now, and whenever we talk to her, the first thing she says is, "We're doing great. We always have food." Because food is first and foremost in her mind at this point. Going back to just remembering those days when they didn't have enough and they were hungry. As I come back here to North America, and we see the landfills going up and the garbage on the street and all the, can I say this? Excessive surplus. I mean, I know we all feel like we're in need, right? Like, oh, it's not quite enough. Wow, if only, you know. It's never enough, is it? It's never enough. And I quite honestly wonder if we're not in a saturation stupor, a food coma of sorts, where our mind is just getting dulled and dulled and dulled by so much stuff. I mean, we really are in an unprecedented situation in history. Unprecedented. To where parents pass away and the kids are just like, I don't want that stuff. Where there are some people, but not a lot, that go hungry still. And so I wonder if we've lost our edge, if we've lost our ability to actually have a sense of what's going on. The title of the message is Hunger Games, and that comes in part from the Hunger Games movie, but we have a Hunger Game that's going on here, and part of that Hunger Game is this. We have three enemies of our souls: the devil, the world, and the flesh. And those three things are in cahoots. They're working together to take us down all the time. In this particular situation, they're dulling our minds, they're distracting us, they're pulling us away from what God has done for us, for what He is offering us. And even this woman, right? This woman, what does she say? He's offering her living water, and what is her response? Oh, that'd be great, because then I wouldn't have to come back here so often. What is she looking for? She's not getting it. She's not getting it. She's still thinking in this earthly perspective, right? She's still thinking about her comfortable life. How can I have my best life? It's all about my best life for the best you, right? And Jesus is saying, no, 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 no. I have so much more. I have so much more to offer you. So the Hunger Games is based to a great extent on Roman civilization as it was getting ready to collapse, and how the authorities used panem circenses, bread and circuses, the gladiator fights, to keep the people distracted so they wouldn't really understand the poverty that they were actually in and the emptiness that they were experiencing. During COVID, we had an intern that came out, and this is maybe, I shouldn't share this because it's going to keep people from wanting to come to be interns, but he came out he was going to just come for 3 weeks. The Lord had other plans. He was there during COVID, when COVID hit, and all the flights shut down, and he was stuck for several months. I'll call his name Rick. Rick, when he was there, we'd be going out to these villages, and you're walking on foot, going from one village to the next. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get yourself into. And you're going cold turkey. Nobody knows you're coming. I mean, what's going to happen? You're eating the food that's offered in front of you. You're sleeping wherever they have you sleep. You don't know if they're going to invite you, not invite you. Like, okay, this is pushing, it's pushing the envelope a little bit, right? How many want to volunteer for this? Okay, it's pushing the envelope a little bit. So Rick is there, and he's like, every time we'd be ready to go out, so Calvin, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? like what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, I mean, I suppose you could die. I mean, we could all die. You can die in America. You can die on the road, right? Driving down the road. You can die anywhere. I mean, I suppose. I mean, maybe we'll get sick, but it's never really happened to us, thank the Lord, right? I mean, maybe we'll get lost. He kept asking that question so many times, finally I got fed up with it. I think in my fed up with itness, the Lord sort of spoke. And I finally said to him, you know what, Rick? You want to know what the worst thing that could happen to us right now is? Is that we would be so comfortable that we would forget that we need Jesus. That, Rick, is the worst thing that could happen. And it's happened time and again throughout history. And if you read this book, you can't get away from seeing that. It's happening time and time again. And God warns the people of Israel, when you get to the promised land and you're blessed, when I'm going to bless your socks off, don't forget. And what do? They forget. They forget. We need Jesus. And we need to remember we need Jesus. But as I travel in North America, I'm finding more and more that people don't really actually know why they need Jesus. Let me just ask you. If somebody asks you, why do I need Jesus? Why do I need Jesus? I mean, what does Jesus save us from? What does Jesus save us to? Woman at the well, a broken woman. Does Jesus save her from her brokenness? Is God our cleanup guy? We make a mess out of things and he kind of comes in and cleans it up for us? I don't calling the cleanup guy. As this woman is staggering back to the village saying, what in the world just happened there? And she's like repeating this rumble strip and these bunker busters through her mind. This is what I think she's thinking. And I think she starts to get the gospel message. He asked me for a cup of water. Doesn't he realize that if he takes a drink from my hand, that he will become unclean? That all that dirt and filth and guck in my life will then be transferred to him. Does he not get that? Maybe he actually does. And maybe that's what the gospel is actually all about. And then we see Jesus later, right? He's struggling in the Garden of Gethsemane. And he says, Father, please take this cup from me. Please take it from me. Why is he pleading? Why are there drops of blood coming from him? He is in intense anguish. You want to know why? Because Jesus understood what it meant to stand before a holy God unclean. He got it because he was there every single time God's wrath was poured out because of the uncleanness that entered the world. He was there when Cain killed Abel. He was there when God's wrath was so upset about the disgusting people in the time before Noah's flood that he wiped the whole thing clean, just kept Noah and his family and the animals on the ark. That is God's wrath. He cannot abide. And we don't talk about that anymore, do we, right? It's all through this book. God is a holy God, and he cannot abide uncleanness. And so there Jesus is, saying to this woman at the well, she's thinking all back through this, right? He knows every stinking thing about me. And he just scratched the surface. He just scratched the surface. And he's willing to take that uncleanness upon himself and lay it down and lay his life down so that I can be clean. In our comfortable North American lives, I think we forget who we're dealing with here. In the area where we work, God reminded us of what's at stake. I want to share a story now. If you want to go ahead and cut the audio on the live.